Ultimately, the issue is after the checkered flag flew, then Sam Mayer wrecked Jeb Burton
Yeah, that was the
completely.
over the line part.
Yeah. So you agree that that's a problem?
Yeah.
Following is a production of the garage area.
All right, welcome into the garage area. I'm Adam here with my co-host Ryan, and we are going to talk about the Martinsville race that we saw William Byron win. The championship four is set in all three series. We're going to talk about all three series. Um, I'm very disappointed after this weekend. I hate seeing the the evil empire of Hendrick get two cars in when we had an opportunity to have zero cars in. To get that kind of field flippage is just super disappointing. Oh, I don't even know where we should start. Let me start with this. I've been saving this paper for 10 weeks now, 9 weeks, I guess, of our final four predictions and all that. So let's just say how wrong we were so I can get rid of this piece of paper and never think about it again. You had William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell. That's two of the four are correct, and the other two didn't miss by much. So good work on your part. I had Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano. Um, too much faith in that 22. And obviously Briscoe's the only one in there. And we both had Bell in, but unfortunately, um, he didn't really have a very strong Martinsville performance at all. And Larson just kept him at bay the entire time. So I can get rid of this piece of paper, never think about it again. Um, where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about first? Do you want to go trucks to cup or just start in cup and go backwards?
Um, we can start in cup and go backwards. That's kind of the most fresh in my mind. So,
Okay. Um, let's start with our picks. You had Chase Elliott, which I thought was a good pick. I thought that I was kind of between him and Blaney, especially after I saw qualifying. I thought that Blaney was starting super deep in the field. Martinsville's a tough racetrack to pass, but this tire wear situation thing that they had going on made me think that that was going to be a possibility. So I went ahead and went with Ryan Blaney. He got second place. Elliott ended up in third. So we finished second and third. But unfortunately, Chase Elliott, I assume, just got more stage points throughout the day. Is that right?
yeah, I don't remember the actual point difference, but I think I have nearly a 20-point lead on you after this weekend.
Yeah.
So,
You have 21 points.
yeah.
You have a 21 point lead on me going into Phoenix. I assume you're going to pick one of the championship four cars.
Well, that's what we're stuck with. So,
That's a good point. Um, so I need you to bait. I mean, I need you to have a real bad day with one of those cars.
yeah.
Yeah, I have an opportunity to win this. Um, man, I really wish we discussed punishment before we got to this point because I'm in serious trouble right now. Um, I was making fun of you before saying that the loser should have to run a 5K. I don't want to run a 5K, so we'll have to figure out what we're doing there. Maybe somebody can comment on what they think we ought to do, what I ought to do, because that's where we're at right now. Everything about this weekend was bad. I finished ahead of you in the picks, but didn't score enough points. Basically lost our championship. No Penske cars are in. Two Hendrick cars are in. This is just awful. Anyways, the race as a whole, what did you think of it? What did the extra tire wear help this be a better race? Did you think that no matter what, it was going to be a good race? Where did it shake out for you?
Um, I thought last fall's Martinsville race was an improvement, and I was kind of expecting a similar race. I didn't think it was going to be nothing terrible, but I think this race kind of exceeded that from last fall. For the most part, I felt like I saw a lot more passing than he thought he would because obviously you saw Ryan Blaney drive from 31st starting point up to the top 10 with like one caution, and everybody pitted on that caution, kind of came back out in similar track position. So I think the fastest cars were able to pass cars. William Byron lapped up to the top 15 on that one green flag run. In the last couple of years, you wouldn't have seen that. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is probably the best Martinsville race we've seen in this next gen car.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. It just seemed like, for one thing, you can just tell when the rubber is building up on the race car from the tire. That's a pretty good indicator to me that you've got some good tire wear going on, and I love seeing that. Um, like you said, Blaney came through the field. Byron, he did, yeah, he led a lot of the race, but when he got shuffled back, he wasn't out of it. And typically, when you see a driver like William Byron, and look, I don't like him, don't like rooting for him, but I'm just being honest here. If Byron's in a position where he's controlling a race and then loses that control, you don't generally see him regain control. And he was able to do that. He was able to go up there and pass because that was an option. It wasn't this car must stay in the lead to be fast type situation. Um, so I think that all of that is encouraging. What number are you putting on it?
I'm going to give it a 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good number. I was originally going to give it an 8. I think I'm going to stick with an 8. That's probably purely emotional because I don't really know what more you would want out of this race. I don't think a 10 is achievable. I think that it's probably deserving of a 9, but the fact that Byron won and just all the things that are, go into this race probably make me less excited about it. So I'm just going to give it a flat 8. Probably deserves to be higher though, I'll admit that. But that's where I'm going to land it. Where do you think this race ended up being on the Jeff Gluck poll?
Yeah, I saw a lot of hate for it on Twitter, so that kind of makes me worried. I did not see the poll. I'm going to say 70.
It was 78.1 was the final result.
It's a little better than I thought it might be, but yeah.
What kind of hate were you seeing for it?
Um, I don't know, just kind of throughout the race when I was checking on, see anything else was going on in the race that you don't see on TV and stuff. There was a lot of people hating on the fact that William Byron was dominating, that you can't pass. The top 10 guys are up here and they're not passing each other. They're all in a train. And well, William Byron, obviously, we saw has the best car. You're not going to pass the best car. Ryan Blaney, he came from the back with like, depending on the part of the run, he had the best and second best car. So, to me, everything played out the way it should have. Who had the best car? Who had the best drive? A lot of people just, I don't know if it's a Hendrick hate or um, just think that because one guy is dominating that it's a bad race. So that was a lot of what I saw.
Yeah, well, I think that that's insane to think that because one guy's dominating that it's a bad race. I don't think that's a good marker at all. And again, even if it's Byron that's dominating, and yeah, I don't think that that can be your point of reference. Um, I get the Hendrick hate. I mean, I'm all for that. But even still, that doesn't make it a bad race. Um, I've seen Hendrick Motorsports cars win a lot of races that I thought were good races. It's just unfortunate you got that winner that day. It's just how it goes. Um, let's talk about, is there anything from the race specifically that you want to talk about? Carson Hocevar wrecked a lot.
Yeah. Spun around like a hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, let's talk about the move from Byron on to Blaney. What do you, what's your interpretation of what happened there? Obviously, Byron got into him. He didn't wreck him. He moved him pretty good.
I saw it as Byron to me pulled out just before Blaney kind of was going to start to come down the track to pass Ty Gibbs or Ty Dillon it was, and as Byron got inside and Blaney kept coming down on him and Byron wasn't giving up his position inside of him and they got together. I didn't really see much harm in what Byron did. I think Blaney was just trying to block also, and it also just they all came together coming into the corner.
Um, I think it was on DBC. They said that it seemed like Blaney got caught sleeping there a little bit, like he was going to make a move to the inside of the 10 to lap him, but and didn't fully realize the run that Byron had to his inside. Do you think that that's the case?
I could see that. I wouldn't really say for certain, but I think maybe maybe he thought Byron might be more patient too. That I really can't comment anymore on that.
Yeah, I don't really know what the issue is. As disappointed as I am that he got by him with contact, because I feel like had there been no contact, Blaney probably could have held him off for at least longer. I don't know about till the end of the race. Um, but yeah, I mean, especially for it being Martinsville, you know that there's a level of contact to this racetrack. I got no issues with it. It's disappointing that he lost the lead. It's disappointing that he didn't win the race, but it's not. I mean, you can't cry over that move, in my opinion. It wasn't a Ty Gibbs, a Carson Hocevar, Ross Chastain type move. It was just a, hey, I'm here. I've got to make the corner. You got to give me room.
Yeah, I don't think that move would have been disappointing for Byron to win the race, but um, I think it was a good move and well needed.
Yeah. Uh, Ryan Blaney came awfully close to winning the race, obviously, ends up out of the championship four because of that. Did, did you almost feel like the chickens were counted before they hatched at one point? Like, did you feel like this is Blaney's race? Byron's not going to get him.
Yeah, once Blaney took the lead when he flipped that stage or caution or however it worked out there, um, yeah, I thought it was over.
Yeah, I was I was literally only watching the laps click off and watching to see if Bell could somehow get in front of Larson, thinking we're going to squeeze Hendrick out of this altogether. Like that was my only thought. And then here comes Byron. He just keeps getting closer and closer and closer and closer, and finally in a position where he could make that move, whether intentional or not. He was intending to get the position on him no matter what, and ends up regaining control of the race there.
Yeah,
Did you
even
think
with
that? Sorry, go ahead.
I was even when I saw Byron catching him, I thought maybe it was just because of lap traffic he was catching. I'm like, all right, well Blaney's just going to get around the next guy and pull away again or this and that. And I thought there was still part of me that was wondering, well, is it still going to be the old Martinsville with this next gen car? You can't pass the guy when you get there and whatnot. And I just thought, well, Blaney's still going to be able to hold him off, and obviously that Byron was able to get inside of him and make the move. But even that point, or I was still like, I don't think he's going to get him until that contact was made.
Yeah. Do you think this is the best race of Byron's career?
Um, I don't think I could think of anything bigger than this or what more he's ever dominated. I just think the poise he had to have, and I don't know if Rudy Fugel's coaching during that, whatever, to calm him down or slow him down there to save his tires helped too and whatnot. But he definitely put on one of his best performances that I've ever seen.
I mean, I've seen William Byron dominate races before. I've seen him have a car that you just couldn't get off of the lead. Like that car was out front all day, no matter what. I've never in my life seen William Byron drive up to through the field to take the win. And I feel like that's what he did in this situation. He drove up to Ryan Blaney and just found a way to get the position and control that race to the end. And he had to beat him on a restart besides. It Yeah, I just don't you got to give the credit where it's due, and I think that he deserves a lot of credit for yes, having a fast car for sure, but going out and beating the guy that won this race the last 2 years in a row. You know that Blaney's really good here, and he went up there and he took it from him, and not in a dirty way, just drove it up there and got that lead. So you got to give him credit for that. Great performance by him. All right, let's talk about the championship four as a whole, unless you have something else from the race.
I got nothing.
So the final four is set. We've got Byron, Hamlin, Larson, and Briscoe. I have a couple questions around this. We got 200 cars and two JGR cars. I feel there's clear there's a clear favorite organization here, and I'm curious to know if you feel that way or not.
Okay.
I'm asking you,
Um,
do you feel like
I feel like JGR cars would be the favorites.
Why do you think they'd be the favorites?
One, Byron and Briscoe both won their races, the first two races of the round, so they had a couple weeks to,
Hamlin and
um,
Briscoe.
huh?
Hamlin and Briscoe.
Yeah, is that what I?
Yeah. You said Byron and Briscoe.
Oh, yeah, Hamlin and Briscoe. Um, they've had time to prepare for Phoenix, and they have been the stronger cars at Phoenix compared to the Hendrick cars. That's my thinking on it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just do you think that there's an advantage with the fact that both of those guys have won in the previous weeks? Like it wasn't like Hamlin won, then Byron won, and then Briscoe won. So where it's kind of staggered out. It was the JGR guys won the last 2 weeks. So do you think that that gives them let's just say it does give them an advantage. Do you think it gives them a significant advantage?
Um, I still think the Hendrick cars are going to be top five cars. I just feel like it's going to be like Martinsville. Like at one point, all four of the cars below the cut line that needed to win were in the top four and five for a while. I feel like it's just going to be one of those deals. It seems like every year in this championship format, the final four are running top five speeds. I just think it's going to be. Uh, Supposedly they're coming back with a softer tire again, and I think that's going to play into a um like a Hamlin type race. So I just think overall that I kind of forgot where I was going with this point, but I think JGR is going to have just that slight edge over the Hendrick cars.
Okay. Who, if you had to pick right now, who's going to win this championship?
Barring any mechanical issues, I'm going to say Hamlin.
Why do you feel so good about him?
I just think he has Briscoe is his first year with JGR, his first time in the Final Four, and I just think sometimes I think it's usually the experience that plays out in these types of situations.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. I do agree with that a lot. You know, Larson's the only previous champion in this group. Uh, let's do this. Let's rank them 1 to 4. Who do you think is the most likely to the least likely to win? Because I'm probably with you on the Denny Hamlin. Um, I just, it's really close for me between him and Briscoe. I think that Briscoe's good at Phoenix, but I think, like you just said, the tire situation, the lack of experience in that pressure situation of being in the Final Four, I think that Hamlin's my favorite. So I think we both got him at number one, and I've got Briscoe at number two. Who do you got at number two?
Uh, there's part of me with this feeling of also momentum with Byron. Um, 'Cause I feel like I'm trying to think if he's ran strong at Phoenix or not, and it's not coming to my mind. I know Larson won there the year he won his championship. That was a Gen 4 car. And I don't think he had the fastest car that day. He just got ahead of Truex. I think he was fighting on that restart and won the race based on that. So, um,
He got out of pit road first.
yeah, that was yeah. Um, hmm. I feel like I'm gonna put Byron second, Briscoe third, and Larson fourth.
Wow. Okay.
But the like second through third are so close for me. It's not. It's like it's hard to really rank them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say Hamlin first, Briscoe second. Um, yeah, I probably have to put Byron third and Larson fourth. Um, I just feel like there's nothing to like about Larson in this race. And it's I don't really mean that to be disrespectful to Larson. It's just I I got nothing. I don't feel like he's nothing says big moment, here comes Kyle Larson, he's going to perform and win this thing. I just feel like there's too many other things working against him here.
Yeah, I
Um,
just me putting Byron second, I just feel like this final round of eight, um, he was running a winning race at Vegas when he got taken out by the Ty Dillon, um, or however you want to look at that incident. Then he was running top five at Talladega, and then got spun by Hocevar. Then he comes out and dominates and wins Martinsville. I just feel like that team is on a roll, and I think they got lot of momentum coming into Phoenix.
yeah, you're probably right. You made me a little more scared of him now. Uh, Byron is the regular season champion, and you just made a very good point as to why he's got a lot of momentum for week to week performance right now. Um, so I'd be keeping an eye on him. Denny Hamlin, um, the veteran, the guy that it just feels like this is the time for him to break through. Um, he's in the Final Four. He is got the most racing experience. He's won the most races this year with six. And Chase Briscoe, this is his first year at JGR. This is just something I didn't even hear anybody else bring this up. This is just something that came to my mind. I don't know how many career wins that Chase Briscoe has, but would he have the least amount of wins to win a championship?
Maybe Cup Series wise.
It seems
Well, I
like that's
mean, you mean in this career wins? I mean, I'd really have to look that up. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I
he
can't
can't
think
have
of.
over,
Go ahead.
he can't have over four cup wins, does he?
I don't think so. Um,
Because all I can think of is Phoenix, Darlington, Pocono, Darlington. Well, Talladega.
so that would make five.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. So, how many? What year was Matt Kenseth in his career when he won the championship?
It was his fourth year in Cup, but he had won five races in 2002, and he'd won in his rookie year. So that's six right there. Plus he
Yeah,
won one in '03. He went winless in '01.
I say I didn't think he was very far in his career, and he only had that one win. So, um, yeah, it's got to be pretty close.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what the stat is. I don't know how many races guys were winning back in the day when they were winning championships, but uh, yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Um, let me see here. We talked about this being Byron's best drive. Um, oh, you talked about the mechanical concerns for Denny Hamlin. Do you think that that really is something that they need to be concerned about, or do you think it's just kind of an oddball thing that's been happening to him?
Well, I mean, Toyota as a whole, Martinsville had three guys blow up. Um, According to crew chiefs or engineers that they've talked to, they were not experimenting with anything, and it was just kind of random occurrences, which is kind of odd to have three of them blow up in one weekend. And they were two of them were guys that are already locked in, and the third one was uh, a, a forget about guy in 2311. So, um,
Yeah.
uh, I really think they're experimenting with something, and all three of them didn't work. I don't know, but
I
I feel
also heard
like
it said, I
go
also
ahead.
heard it said too that those guys, for the amount of times that you have to run a motor in the season, that they were just taking the worst ones on the list and throwing them in those cars.
Okay, so just getting them used up and out of the way and keep their best stuff for Phoenix. So,
Yeah.
um, I think they're really going to put in what they think will last, and obviously they're going to put the best of what they have in those cars and um, figure out what other. I don't know. It seemed like a couple of times this year Denny had throttle sticking issues. I assume they're going to try and figure out what that is and get that taken care of. But um, I just I think they'll still figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah. It does feel like it's his time. Uh, First year with his crew chief, Chris Gale, a crew chief he didn't even want to have, and he's a guy that's going to have an opportunity to win a championship. That's unique. Be curious to know how Chris Lambert, which one's his crew was his former crew chief?
Was it Gabe Hart?
Yeah, that's it. Lambert's a spotter. There's too many Chris's on Denny's team. Chris Lambert's a spotter. Chris Gabehart was last year's crew chief and had been his longtime crew chief to that point, if I'm not mistaken. Um, is now I think competition director or something like that for JGR, and that's got to be interesting for him to be like, yeah, I got off the box and now Denny wins the championship. Gale winning it in his first year, Denny didn't want to be paired with him. That's just kind of a unique dynamic for the 11 team going into Phoenix. Be curious to see what happens with those guys. Is there anybody that, I mean, you're a Hendrick Homer, anybody that you're specifically rooting for?
Um, I'm just Byron and Larson. Whatever one doesn't really matter to me. I
Okay.
always kind of consider myself a Larson guy second to Chase. So, um, but either one of them wins it, I'm all right with it.
Yeah. Do you, I don't know. Do you feel like any one of these guys is more deserving than the other to win?
Um,
Because we're going to get into that in the other series.
so you mean out of the four as a whole?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think maybe deserving wise, I'd probably put uh I'm between Byron and Hamlin most deserving. Larson would probably be third, and Briscoe would be at the bottom because kind of deserving is kind of like where I'm putting my head into the full season standings wise. Byron, a regular season champion, consistency. Um, Larson and Hamlin have, I think, far more wins than the other guys. I don't remember the specific numbers they have, but I know Hamlin has six, I believe, already this year. So um,
Yeah, he has six. Larson only has three.
that would be, was this Byron's third then?
Yeah, Byron's got three, Larson's got three, and Briscoe's got three this year.
Yeah. Um, I feel like they all had lulls, and Hamlin had kind of had wins throughout the year. He even missed a race, and I think he was still catching Byron for the regular season championship at the time. So, to me, I think Hamlin probably would be the most deserving. Um, but if Byron were to win, I think it wouldn't be any much less deserving.
Do you feel like there's anybody like I guess I don't feel that there's any one of these four that if they won it'd be like that's egregious. I can't believe that they won this championship.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that either. It's probably one of the closest of the four that you could say might not be. You wouldn't say it would be undeserving.
Yeah, I agree. Just out of curiosity, can you tell me who is the lowest driver in points right now to have won a race this year?
Mm, trying to think. Josh Berry,
Yes, that's
is it?
right. Yeah, he's 16th in points with one win, and then the Austins are above him.
I remember. I think I heard it on DBC. Shane Van Gisbergen was like 12th or 13th, and I'm like, when you asked that question, I'm like, ooh, that might have been a gotcha question, but I knew I knew it wasn't him. So,
No, yeah, Shane's got five wins in 12th place. I was I was looking to see who had the least amount of stage points in the playoffs. Of the playoff drivers, do you know who earned the least amount of stage points this year?
um, the least amount of stage points. Uh, Barry again? I don't know.
No, it's Austin Dillon. He only earned 31 stage points all year.
Yeah, all year.
Compa- Yeah.
For some reason, I stuck myself into playoff mode.
Oh. Do you know who's earned the most stage points all year?
um, Chase Elliott. I don't know.
No, Chase Elliott actually doesn't.
Yeah, that I don't know why I said his name because he he always pulled off top tens at the end and never got stage points. I don't know why it came to my mind, but would it be Hamlin?
No, it's actually William Byron, and he has almost 100 more stage points than Denny.
Hmm.
It's actually impressive. It looks, and I'm just scanning here real quick. It looks like Blaney has the second most stage points with 298, and Byron has 326. So he's actually got quite a few more stage points than anybody else. I don't know. Just looking at that, just was curious to see where that all shook out. Penske's not going to win a championship for the fourth straight year now. Let me rephrase that. They're not going to win their fourth in a row championship. Uh, but what do you think is the likelihood that a Penske car wins the race at Phoenix?
Um, I don't know. I never really thought about it. Um, it seems like that if you're not in a championship for, it's not like you. It almost seems like you usually don't bring your best stuff. They, I think last year or 2 years ago when Ross Chastain beat Blaney, that was like the first time a champion or a Final Four driver didn't actually win the race. Um, so I think it's going to be tough for Penske to win since they're not really fighting for anything. But I think they'll still be a top 10 car, maybe middle top five at best. I think the other guys are going to really bring their stuff because they've been focusing on Martinsville and whatnot, trying to get in. They were in must win, so they had to put all their effort into Martinsville and stuff. And I just feel like that kind of put them behind for Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah, it may have. I don't know. Um, yeah, I heard that brought up this week. They're like, yeah, the Penske cars, they're still going to Phoenix. They could still win that race. I don't feel that way at all. I think that it's going to be, you know, Denny and Byron and Briscoe and Larson all battling for that top four positions. I don't think that you're going to see a Penske car up there leading,
Yeah,
unless Logano stays out on two tires at the end or something stupid like that. I could see that happening, but outside of that, I don't see any issue where those guys are going to be stealing the show. All right, well, that pretty much does it for the Cup Series, unless you had something else you wanted to hit.
I don't have nothing else.
Okay. We've been kind of keeping up with the other two series all year, um, talking about who won and whatnot, but I watched all three races this weekend. I didn't watch the entire Xfinity Series race, um, but I do have plans to watch all three races this weekend as well. Um, they were in a pretty tight battle for who was going to end up where, and end up getting into the Final Four. And their Final Four ended up being Connor Zilisch, Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, and Carson Kvapil. Where this is like a totally different situation for the Final Four than the Cup Series, to where it just feels like it's got to be Connor Zilisch, maybe Justin Allgaier could be acceptable, and the other two have no business being there. Does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, most definitely. I think this happens more often in trucks and Xfinity. You'll have the best team with one real good driver and they'll run away with it. I guess it feels like that one there should be one driver that absolutely has it. There's not quite as much parity, I guess, as there is in the Cup Series, but yeah, especially Xfinity Series, yeah, it's got to be either Connor Zilisch is probably the number one guy, and I could argue Justin Allgaier should be right there with him. I mean, I think a couple of them races that Zilisch won had won he won them based on Allgaier's misfortune. Um, so I think them two are 1 and 2. I don't think they're quite as far apart as everyone's making them out to be, as far as what one deserves or doesn't deserve. But yeah, there's definitely a couple of guys that you just don't feel like should be there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that Justin Allgaier might be the favorite going to Phoenix.
I would put him as my favorite. If I had to pick one to win, it would be him.
Wow. So Connor Zilic has won 10 races this year, and you would have to feel like that's the guy that deserves to be the champion this year because he's won so many races. But when you condense it down to one race playoff, when you go for the championship race, Justin Allgaier very good at Phoenix, and I feel like he's got a legit opportunity to be this year's Cup or this year's Xfinity Series champion because of how good he is there. Now that being said, we say that every year with Justin Allgaier when we go to Phoenix, and he's got one championship to show for it. So maybe it's not as big a risk as you might think, but Connor Zilic has come a long ways this year from where he started, and it's not just the guy that can win on road courses and run well at the intermediates. He could be a guy that's threatening to win this race. And I feel like Allgaier is still probably the favorite, but at the same point, it's not. It's going to be a close battle, I think.
Yeah, that's yeah. Just imagine a guy winning that many races. He won the regular season championship while missing a race. Technically, he missed two races, but he still got the points for the Parker Kligerman race. So I wouldn't necessarily count that one as a missed race. But he missed a race at Texas, still won the regular season championship, and has a chance to not win the championship. It almost would be as bad as Harvick not making the final championship in 2020 when he had 10 wins. He was
Yeah,
probably the deserving driver then and didn't make it. And NASCAR still didn't change the playoff system at that point.
yeah, it's very true. Uh, Zilic has 10 wins, 19 top fives, 22 top tens. Justin Allgaier, 3 wins, 14 top fives, 19 top 10. So similar stats minus the wins. And I mean, nobody's going to have 10 wins. Jesse Love, 1 win, 8 top fives, 21 top tens. Carson Kvapil, no wins, 7 top fives, 14 top tens. And that's your final four. It feels like I look, Austin Hill did it to himself. He's got 4 wins this year, 13 top fives, 17 top tens. That point suspension that he suffered at was it Indy for
Indianapolis.
yeah, for wrecking Almirola is the amount of points that he missed the previous round by, and winning at Talladega would have put him in the final four. Um, Kicking out Carson Kvapil, I assume. You could probably make an argument that, Hill should be there too, but he's in a lower tier. Like he's not as fast week in and week out as Allgaier and Zilichar.
Yeah, I don't know where all of Hill's wins are at, but I believe most they got to be at like Talladega, Atlanta, or Daytona. Be at least half of his wins. Um, I just feel like on anything other than drafting tracks, Hill and just doesn't perform.
Yeah, it does seem like that's the case. Another guy that was up there in points is currently fifth in points, but he's going to drop a little bit was Sam Mayer. He and Jeb Burton had some issues throughout the race, and Sam Mayer ends up wrecking Jeb after the race, gives kind of a clown show of an interview after that as well. Um, I got some questions. First of all, Sam's getting suspended. That was announced today. Uh, he's gonna have to watch Phoenix. Um, I'm waiting for my phone call to see if they want to put me in the car. Um, I don't really foresee that being the case, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Ryan Sieg's already announced.
Well, who's gonna drive his car?
Kyle Sieg.
Nepotism, always.
Kyle Sieg's opening is still there, so
Oh, he is.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, Kyle Sieg's going to the 39, and what's the 28? Is that what Kyle Sieg drives? It's going to be
That was the
open, so
29.
29. Okay. Um,
Huh.
but
No, you were right, 28. You're
okay.
right.
I don't hear that often.
Yeah, that's yeah, definitely not for me. Um, so yeah, that way that's all shaken out. First of all, let's just start from the beginning. What did you make of the contact between Jeb and Sam in the race?
Um, I really don't impatience, I guess. I don't remember what point it was, whether it was before a stage finish or whether they were clamoring for points or whatever. But you know, Mayer had fresh tires, and Burton obviously stayed out on the older tires and just kind of shipped him up out into the third groove and took off. It may have been a little bit more egregious than it should have been. Maybe it should have been a little more patience for Sam there, but I mean, at the time, I didn't really think too much of it. I just figured it was a guy on old tires that was holding somebody up. Um, Evidently, Burton thought it was more than that, considering from the radio we heard at that point of him upset about it and threatening to wreck Mayer after that, which he never ends up doing, but probably gets his job done what he wanted to do in the end.
Yeah, didn't he make an attempt to swipe at him?
I don't remember if there was a swipe or just kind of a hit, and then once Burton got ahead of him, just kind of held him up the rest of the race.
It was right after all that happened that I ended up turning it on, so I missed all that watching the race, so I wasn't sure what all took place there. Um, so anyways, Mayer said in his post-race interview that Burton should have noticed that he had a purple spoiler, meaning that he's in the playoffs racing for a championship spot. Do you feel like that should have played a factor in Jeb's the way he raced?
Absolutely not. That's the one thing I hate about the playoffs is um, you're not just racing your competitors or whatever who you're fighting for a championship with. You're racing with the whole field, and everyone should be out there racing for themselves, racing for a win, and that affects both playoff drivers and non-playoff drivers. And to think that a non-playoff driver should be going out there and not fighting a playoff driver for, let's say, a race win or a position is just unacceptable to me. To think that you can't do that. So I think Jeb Burton had the right to run his race, and Sam Mayer the right to run his race, and that's how it should be.
But don't you think that at some point that there's a line, especially where Jeb's on older tires, Sam's on newer tires, he's trying to earn stage points in a very tight point situation that I'm not saying he's got to pull over for him, but hey, I'm going to try to hold you up here. You're beating my back bumper off. Maybe it's in my best interest to just let you go.
Well, this wasn't even like a long run issue. It was right off the restart, right into turn one and two. It was a Sam Mayer just shoved him out the way. It wasn't like he was been trying to get past him for lap after lap. It was one corner in and he was shipped. It wasn't like there was any patience involved in what was going on.
Well, there must have been some issue with the two of them then for him to just ship him like that in the first turn, or there wouldn't have been any reason for him to complain about it the way he's racing them.
Well, it was the after the fact that the end of the race when Jeb Burton got back in front of Sam Mayer. That
Okay.
was that was when he was complaining because pretty much once Jeb got in front of Sam, Jeb just pretty much held him back and raced him aggressively. Then
Okay. I'm on track now. I was catching up with most of this through Twitter, and so I had a different perspective on what took place there. Um, okay. If that, with that being the case, then yeah, I agree that like you can't expect your competitors to get out of your way, but especially if you were the aggressor initially.
yeah, it reminds me of the Harvick and Chase Elliott incident when at Bristol a few years back when Elliott got back out on a track and held Harvick up and let Larson by. I felt like that's what once Jeb got ahead of Sam Mayer there, he just kind of raced in front of him, gave him dirty air, just kind of held him up and didn't let him get by and whatnot. And it's like he didn't care about the rest of the race at that point.
That almost sounds like you're saying that Chase's actions there weren't good.
Um, I'm not saying Jeb. I'm saying Jeb Burton's were justified. So I'll say Chase is justified too. I just
Oh,
from
you're
my
saying that it was okay that he did that.
oh, I am 100% all right with that. I mean, got shipped, and what Jeb could have done is come back and tore up his race car. So nope, Jeb just kind of held him up like Denny Hamlin did to Ross Chastain that year. That he didn't
Yeah.
wreck the guy or just got his payback, and that was it.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Fair points. Ultimately, the issue is after the checkered flag flew, then Sam Mayer wrecked Jeb Burton
Yeah, that was the
completely.
over the line part.
Yeah. So you agree that that's a problem.
Yeah.
Why is it a problem?
Well, it's
Let me ask you
anytime.
this before you answer this. If he had just spun him and he didn't end up hitting the wall, is it a problem?
I would say so. I mean, they started cracking down on these after the checkered flag incidents, like they had at Chicago a couple years with Chase Elliott, and I think Suarez had issues after the yellow, and then I know Bubba Wallace and uh, Alex Bowman. They I don't remember. I don't think anybody got suspended for it because I don't think anything happened as bad as what happened this week at Martinsville. But I think after the checkered flag goes down, all the drivers are, you would assume, kind of relax themselves, start taking their safety equipment off and stuff and whatnot. Even though they probably shouldn't until they get back to the pit lane and stuff. But at that point, it comes a safety hazard and it needs to be policed accordingly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he didn't have any of his safety stuff on because they just crossed the start finish line.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to set a line somewhere. So I'd
Yeah,
say once you're past the checkered flag, that's the line, literally.
but you think that this was suspension worthy? Like you feel
Yeah,
this is justified,
yeah, just the way he drove in there with zero intent of just knocking him or anything. It was a full intent on wrecking.
and you think that that means park you?
Yeah.
No, no fine, no points penalty, just you're done.
Well, I mean, at this point, a points penalty doesn't hurt Mayer or anything because it's the
It hurts him some.
yeah. I mean, it's not a fight for a championship, and I just feel like it at the end of the year, you have to put a message out there that this isn't tolerable.
Okay. What if Mayer got in?
Um, well, he'd have been suspended and anyways, so
Oh, that's my question. Do you think they would have suspended him had he made the final four?
I think so.
Do you think that they can afford to take one of their final four drivers that just advanced in this system and say, you're suspended next week?
Yeah. Um, I I think if he made it in, he probably wouldn't have wrecked Jeb. So I don't know what we're playing with.
No, no, I'm saying all things being equal, that's the only variable that he made it in.
Yeah, you would have had to suspend him. I mean,
I don't think there's any way they suspend him. They sure don't do it on Tuesday. I,
um,
if they were going to do something, they would have at the track after the checkered flag said, "We're penalizing the 41 for reckless driving. He finishes last car in the lead lap, and then whoever he bumped out goes in." There's no way they change it on Tuesday.
yeah, I could see your point there. They would have had to done something one way or the other at that point. Yes.
If they leave the racetrack and there's no penalty announced, there's no chance Sam Mayer's suspended for this race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah. Um, Taylor Gray ends up getting the win. His first career win, gets it in a JGR car. Probably should have more than one, especially including the spring this year. Sammy Smith was the guy that ended up right behind him, and it was like deja vu again that he was going to have the opportunity to do the same thing, and he didn't do anything even close to the same thing. Clearly, a big difference in how he handled that situation in the fall compared to the spring. Did you think that it's going to happen? He's going to ship it in there and wreck him?
Um, I think,
Because Sammy Smith had to win to get in.
yeah, I think after a couple, they had a few restarts there at the end, and I think after the first restart when he didn't aggressively go in there and dump him, I like, all right, he's just gonna try and do it the clean way and not not destroy them. I think surprisingly, I don't think any of them guys up there decided they all decided they were going to race as clean as they could and fight for it. They had meetings and stuff to not make this a wreck fest like they did in the spring even. So, and that was they weren't even fighting for a championship. It was just race wins. So, um, I think they just kind of I think they had it in mind. It's like especially Smith with what happened in the spring was not going to take out Taylor Gray.
Yeah, that Karsten
I,
Elledge said on DBC that they were talking about that race, and she said that after the conversation that he had had in the spring, she was confident he wasn't going to do anything. Said that kind of sarcastically, like maybe he and Dale had a real "you do not do this" kind of
yeah,
conversation.
I was gonna say maybe if it was someone different, that it may have been a different story. But um, being it
As
was the
in, if it
same,
wasn't Taylor Gray.
yeah, like if it was someone else, that there may have been more aggression shown towards it. But maybe this was like, all right, I'll give you this one back or whatever.
See, I feel the other way around. I don't think it would have mattered who the leader was. I don't think Sammy Smith was going to dive it in there just because of what happened in the spring. But I think if it was somebody other than Sammy Smith in that spot that needed to win to get in, I think any of the rest of them would have done it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else was up there at that point. That yeah, I don't remember who else was up there at that point, but they didn't. All the 20 of Brandon Jones.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he
he
was
probably
right.
wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I was watching him. I mean, it was a teammate, which I mean, he was the teammate when Ty Gibbs did it to him, but
Yeah,
I was watching for him too, and he didn't do it. I'm like, well, they're all racing somewhat respectively then. So
yeah, yeah. Um, three of the four final four cars are junior motorsports cars, so it looks like you Hendrick boys have a good opportunity. 75% chance to get the Xfinity Series championship here.
yeah, that
Um,
happened 2 years ago, and Ty Gibbs still took it. So
yeah, but your odd car out is Jesse Love, not Ty Gibbs.
yeah, so
Like
yeah,
this is a junior motorsports championship.
and to me, it's more like two versus one. I don't
Yeah.
see Quaffle doing much, but
No,
yeah,
it's either Allgaier or Zilich. I think we're in agreement there. And I think, I mean, we don't have to do this for every single one, but I'll do it real quick. Uh, it's Allgaier, Zilich in a real close one and two. Love, Quapple for me.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Um, and okay, anything else from the Xfinity side?
That's all I got.
So far you have Hamlin as your Cup Series champion. I do as well. And you have Allgaier as your Xfinity Series champion. I do as well.
Yep.
Okay. Um, great minds, I guess. Okay, let's move on to the Craftsman Truck Series. Their final four, Corey Heim, Caden Honeycutt, Ty Majeski, Tyler Ankrum. Wow. Um, Corey Heim, obviously huge favorite, 11 wins on the season, 18 top fives, 20 top tens, not a DNF on the year. Um, he's earned 355 stage points, which is a tremendous amount. Caden Honeycutt is a good story. Um, I don't, he got fired from his Truck Series ride for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that full story was, and ends up getting in the 52 truck because Stuart Friesen is injured, and here he is in the final four. That's a pretty neat story. Um, Ty Majeski is, hang on, is Ty Majeski is the only opportunity that Ford has to win a championship this weekend.
Wow. I never never thought about that.
And Tyler Ankrum being the last guy in there, has one win this season, eight top fives, 15 top tens. Honeycutt and Majeski have no wins. So two of the final four have no wins. It's look, it's hard to get wins in the Truck Series when Corey Heim's here winning 11 races. But Lane Riggs has three. He didn't end up making it. Lost on a tiebreaker. Chandler Smith has two. He wasn't even close. Um, and that's pretty much it. The furthest guy down in points that has a win is Stuart Friesen, but he hasn't been competing in any races recently because of his injury. Um, so yeah, that's this is where it's like the most mismatched Final Four, and like we said, it's close between Allgaier and Zilich as to who could win that race, and the Corey Heim is Ty Majeski the next guy?
I would say Ty Majeski because Phoenix is probably one of his best tracks.
Yeah, hasn't won a race all year, and theoretically could win this without winning the race.
Yeah,
That'd be
I
great.
didn't Matt Crafton
Yeah,
get
he
a
did.
yeah, so yeah, and that would yeah, this is just I don't know, it's almost like the other three got to come together and take out time. Like that's the
Yeah,
way it should be, anyways. But um, yeah, Corey Heim should be by far the favorite. I would put Majeski there at second. Honeycutt, since he's gotten into the 52 car, he was already in the playoffs, which is why he got to ride into the 52, and I think that 52 upped his performance. So he was in a better truck. So
yeah,
I'd put him at three. And Ankrum, I don't know, he just eked his way in as far as I'm concerned. So um, Ankrum's the only one that has a win, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Corey Heim ends up winning the race at Martinsville. Honeycutt and Riggs end up being tied, and Honeycutt having the tiebreaker over Lane Riggs, which is crazy. That's not who won the most races on the season, being the tiebreaker. It's the best finish in that round. But hey, whatever. It's the way that the system works. Riggs is on the outside, who clearly the second best driver in the series. Um, and Majeski, even with a bum left front fender in that race, ends up getting himself in position to advance. Um, Lane Riggs had an opportunity there, much like Sammy Smith at the end, where he could have really dive bombed the car in front of him to get the position that he needed because he ended up tied. He just needed one more spot on the racetrack, and he didn't do it. And he said after the race, he wasn't going to race that way. He wasn't going to dive it in there. He wasn't going to take out the guy in front of him. That just wasn't going to be how he raced. I'm not like a huge Riggs fan. I think he's got some growth to do. Like I think that Corey Heim is 100% right now, immediately ready to be moved into the next phase. Like he could go right to Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised. Lane is another guy that he's definitely second to Corey Heim in the Truck Series as far as his performance goes. I don't think he's ready to go anywhere yet. Like I think he needs to be here another year, at least.
Yeah, I could see that. Lane was who I was really watching because he has been known to be a rough driver in this series in the past. He's kind of roughed it up with a few guys. So I thought if somebody was going to get to somebody, it was going to be him. And whether he actually couldn't get to because he was behind Honeycutt, and Honeycutt is the one he was tied with. So it would have been like a 2 point swing had he got past him. I don't know if he just knew he couldn't get there without absolutely wrecking the guy, or whether he actually decided he wasn't going to race that way. Either or, but that's kind of how it all played out in my eyes.
Yeah, and I had a lot of respect gained for him because of that move there to not take matters into his own hands at that point. Just tried to race him straight up, and I can appreciate that a ton. And so you think that the championship winner is going to be?
Corey Heim.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I think that Majeski is close. I think that they mentioned too again on DBC that if that 98 truck made it through tech on the first time, watch out because they probably got something in that thing that's going to make it real fast at Phoenix. Um, but I think in spite of all that, I still expect Corey Heim to be the champion. So we went three for three with who we think is going to be champions: Denny Hamlin, Connor Zilich, and Corey, or not Connor Zilich, Justin Allgaier, and Corey Heim. You're sticking with those three as well.
Yep.
We'll see how those predictions pan out. Um, Anything else that you wanted to talk about from this weekend at Martinsville?
I ain't got nothing else. Nope.
And anything else that you want to touch on before we get to Phoenix?
Oh, I don't got nothing.
We're in the white flag of the season here. We got one more race before um, we'll be done with our post-race shows. I do have a couple things that I want to talk about during the off season. I want to do a kind of a season recap show. talking about what we expected things to look like coming into the year, how they shook out, things that we didn't see coming, some surprises, things like that that ended up shaking out. And I've also got a long list of notes for what I would call the problems with NASCAR, things that are obvious issues in the sport and how we would solve them. I want to have a conversation about that, and hopefully by the time that we get through all that, we'll be ready to talk about the lawsuit and see where things are there. I want to do one talking about the playoff format, what it's like now, what we like about the current format, what we don't like about the current format, and what our perfect format would be. And I'm sure that that's kind of gonna blend in with the problems with NASCAR conversation anyway. So we'll see how that all shakes out. We'll see how this weekend shakes out at Phoenix. I'm looking forward to watching all three races. Martinsville is going to be Friday, October. No, sorry, not Martinsville. Um, Let me see if I can actually get the schedule here before we get fully out of here. Phoenix, come on. Oh, Phoenix is going to be Friday, October 31st, 7:30 p.m. on FS1 for the Craftsman Truck Series. For the Xfinity Series, it is going to be Saturday, November 1st at 7:30 on the CW, and the Cup race will be Sunday, November 2nd, 3 o'clock on NBC. About time we're on network television there. So we'll see how it all plays out. Um, Looking forward to talking about it, and don't have to stress about anything this year because I have no rooting interest in any of these three series. So we'll see what your nerves are like after we get through this one. Make sure to follow our social medias. The link's in the description. And check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all those good places. And I can't wait to throw this piece of paper away with our Final Four predictions. We'll see you guys after Phoenix.